There's some cool information regarding PlayStation 5 Pro's APU, so the main processor of the console. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm sure you've heard that according to Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming, PlayStation 5 Pro does exist and it's coming next year. So that's all cool and dandy, and obviously, as always with that kind of news, people are asking for specs. People want to know how powerful that new console is going to be. Now, obviously, all that is pure speculation right now. There's some leaks, and Tom Henderson actually did leak a couple of interesting, I wouldn't really call them specs yet, but some interesting technical information, and I actually did report on that a couple of days ago. But obviously, as always, there's a ton of fake news and fake specs and that kind of stuff. So I would be very careful when it comes to these PlayStation 5 specs, news and that kind of stuff, right? Because yeah, I mean, some people do come up with some crazy specs here and there. I'm not going to be discussing them here because, you know, I don't want to spread FUD basically, right? But there's an interesting conversation on Twitter, or should I say X now, right? And this is, I'm talking about like Kepler underscore L2 on X. So he's actually a guy who knows quite a lot about, specs and PC and AMD and whatever, right? And he had actually some comments on PlayStation 5 specs. So he basically said that it's funny seeing so many fake PlayStation 5 Pro specs that are literally impossible because the leakers don't understand how AMD's GPU architecture works, right? So like I said, like there's a certain architectural limitations where you cannot just go and add, let's just add 5 compute units, right? Because it looks good on the spreadsheet, if you know what I mean, right? There's certain not necessarily limitations, but I guess we can say limitations too, right? Because there's certain things in the GPU that dictates the number of compute units or whatever, right? Or number of ROPs or whatever, right? Either way, that's not the point of this video. I'm not here to talk about these specs. What I'm here to talk about is the fact that Kepler believes that PlayStation 5 Pro's APU is going to be made on 4 nanometers process. So there's this whole conversation over here where Jilling says there's only 3 shader engines, so 5460 or 6066, also 96 ROPs, where Kepler says 33 working groups design is not possible. I'm not really sure why, and nothing is stopping Sony from using 6060. So he was referring to that second group, right? Because Jilling, I just want to explain that a little bit. Where they talk about 5460 or 6066, they talking about a number of active compute units and overall number of compute units, because I'm sure you know that pretty much every console right now, when they make these chips for these consoles, they disable couple of compute units for better yields, right? Because unfortunately, when these processors are being produced, or should I really say GPUs really mainly, some of these compute units will be broken, right? So if you disable some of them in all GPUs, no matter whether they are good or not, you end up with a certain number of compute units. And even though by design, these are, for example, these may be 40 compute units GPUs, that's the case with PlayStation 5, right? But only 36 are active, because in case any of these compute units are faulty, you can always disable. I mean, there's number of that are disabled anyway, so you can still use that GPU with like up to 4 compute units that are broken, faulty, right? So that's the way it works, right? So this is what they talk about, like, they were speculating about these 60 compute units and 54 would be active, and that actually goes along with what Tom Henderson was talking about. He mentioned in that specs leak that that PlayStation 5 Pro will come with 60 compute. I mean, he did say he spoke about 30 GPU working groups, right? But that means 60 compute units basically. But I mean, G-Link actually speculates about like number of active compute units, which would probably be 54, right? So that makes sense. So Kepler says that 33, so the other other group, is not possible due to design. Yeah, and so yeah, it looks like it's probably going to be 60. Obviously, they speculate whether that would be RDNA 4 or still 2, who knows. But Kepler says it's not 3 nanometers though. So he's saying this in a way as if he was sure about it, right? Now, he didn't really say whether that's been confirmed or anything like that, but he's pretty sure that it's not 3 nanometers process. And for those of you that don't know what that's all about, is basically the smaller the process, right? So going from, for example, PlayStation 5 Pro's APU, so the main chip, initially was produced on 7 nanometers. Now the latest PlayStation 5 models are getting chip that is being produced on 6 nanometers. So going to 3 nanometers would actually make the chip smaller, or not really, because obviously PlayStation 5 Pro would have more compute units, so the chip probably would be pretty much the same size but more powerful. Either way, looks like Kepler believes that it's going to be 4 nanometers process. Most likely there isn't much difference in power performance anyway. 3 nanometers is most likely about logic density, which is offset by the increased wafer cost. So what does it mean for the performance? Well, the process they will be using for the chip doesn't really tell us much. Because we still don't know the size of the chip. I mean, if we knew the size of the chip, then we could actually speculate. But if they but I guess Tom Henderson did say that it's going to be 60 compute units, so 54 of them will probably be active. So the whole power thing it's going to depend now on the clock speeds. Now, I would imagine that not only they will increase, looks like they will increase the number of compute units, but they probably will increase the clock speeds too. So if they will double, will they double? Not really, because going only by compute units, the number of compute units, they will go from 36 to 54. So that's not double, but if they will actually run the chip at higher clock speeds, who knows? Maybe we may end up with console that will be maybe even twice as powerful. Who knows? Because it's not only number of teraflops, it's not only about clocks, but also it's all about efficiency, better efficiency and better performance per clock and that kind of stuff, right? So the IPC. And that's assuming that PlayStation 5 Pro's GPU will be based on some newer architecture, right? I mean, or will have some RDNA 3 or 4 features, who knows, right? Or some efficiency optimizations, right? So we'll see. But I've heard, I think Paul of Red Dead Gaming He did mention that they are aiming for like at least double the performance, overall performance in games. But like I said, performance of the console, I mean, you may have twice as performant GPU, but if the rest of the system is bottlenecked, then faster GPU is not really going to do much, right? So with better GPU has to come, well, probably more memory, or at least faster memory, and better memory bandwidth basically. And well, faster CPU probably, because really if you look at what's going on with some of the games this generation, a lot of times they are CPU limited. And I'm sure you remember the video I made about Xbox Series X CPU, the video where I spoke about that video that Digital Foundry made, where they compared the Xbox CPU running on normal Windows, and so these console CPUs are not really that powerful. I mean, they are much better than last generation, but still, faster clock speeds for these CPUs would actually be a decent upgrade when it comes to performance in games too. So it's not only about GPU, but also CPU, memory, and other stuff. So guys, anyway, like I said, we're probably going to be getting more and more of these specs and stuff. I tend to be very cautious about what I'm talking about here, because like back in the days I did I guess believed too many of these leakers and fake rumors and stuff. So if it's actually coming from some reliable source, then I'll talk about it. Other than that, probably not. So and I've seen some crazy wild predictions and leaks already, but they, like I said, they don't really make much sense. So guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm actually looking forward to Pro. I do hope that they will offer at least double the performance when it comes to GPU power and stuff. So that would be cool. And I'm kind of curious what Microsoft is going to do about it. Will they react? Or will they just stay with Xbox Series S and X on the market? That's going to be interesting couple of months for sure. So guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.